So welcome Against the Stream Wednesday night class. My name is Jason Murphy. I'm one of the teachers here at Against the Stream. We are back in the center and we've opened up. So if you're in Los Angeles or especially in the West Side, or if you want to travel, feel free to come see us Mondays and Wednesdays, 7:30 to 9. Also online through the againstthestream.com. We also have like a podcast now. We've had one, I guess. So we're transferring these Dharma talks into podcasts, so you can listen to us if you'd like also. So welcome to everyone online, everyone in the room, and go ahead and get started. So we'll sit for a period of time, and if you're new or you would benefit from some meditation instructions, you can just kind of chat that in the, you can put that in the chat that you'd like some more instruction. We generally give a little bit of instruction, but depending on the level of people practicing, how long and so on, we might give less instruction. All right. I'm not seeing anything popping up, so I will, I'll just do what I do. So finding a posture that's workable, that's sustainable, where you can feel relaxed and alert, whether on the floor, lying down, sitting in a chair. It's suggested to not really lie down for meditation unless you're really wanting to go to sleep. So like in the evenings, maybe like doing a body scan or something while you're going to sleep. If you feel tired at all, but if you're having any physical pain, sometimes it's okay to lie down. It's definitely a workable practice, but I think more often than not, if you're feeling tired, it's a good idea to try to sit up straight in some way. All right, so it's helpful to allow the eyes to close. Also, it's not, required to have the eyes closed, but I think it is helpful, brings the attention inward. And so just taking a few moments and just kind of settling into the practice, settling into this moment, this body. Taking a few deeper breaths. Breathing in. Know that you're breathing in. Breathing out. Know that you're breathing out. Opening to the comings and goings of sound. Perhaps sounds outside the room. Or sounds inside the room. And in some way, just aiming the attention towards this sitting, breathing body. Knowing that thoughts and sounds will be moving through our experience. It's not a problem. We're not trying to shut out sound. We're not trying to shut out thoughts, just allowing them to be in the background of our attention. Aiming the attention more specifically at the experience of breathing, tip of the nose, rise and fall of the belly. Of course, the attention may wander off, but it's not a problem. It's just what minds do: think, plan, remember, perceive through the different sense doors. Whenever we recognize that this is happening, just gently acknowledge future, past, perhaps noting, thinking, planning, and then aim the attention back. Becoming curious of the breath, we're not trying to control the breath, just allowing each breath to move in and move out on its own. again and again. Just recognizing when the attention wanders off. And right in that moment, allowing some kindness and compassion for the mind and its tendency. Gently aiming the attention back, connecting to the experience of breathing, and then sustaining that connection for as long as possible, feeling relaxed and alert. If you find that the mind is agitated, restless, busy, suggestion is to lower the attention perhaps down to the diaphragm or the belly. And if the body seems agitated or restless, perhaps bringing the attention towards the tip of the nose. Breathing in, calming the mind. Breathing out, relaxing the body. Breathing in, calm. Breathing out, relax. again and again, recognizing where the attention has gone. And in that moment, a sense of friendliness, kindness with the mind, aiming the attention back. For the last few moments of this sit, regardless of what the last bit of time has been, seeing if you can really sink into the present time experience. Seeing if you can stay connected to each full breath, beginning, middle, end, from now until the bell rings. Could you guys hear that bell? Yeah. Okay. So just taking a moment and kind of reflecting, what was that experience like for you? Was it challenging? Was it painful? Was it liberating? Was it easy, relaxing, torturous, insightful, so on? Just take a moment and kind of reflect for yourself. And then if there's any questions about the meditation practice before we get into the kind of topic for the evening, I mean, it's all practice, right? But specifically, just the instructions that were given or the meditation itself. Any questions you have, you can either raise your hand, by using I think it's in the participants section, or you can write in the chat. Go ahead. Yeah. Indigo, do you want to?
Sorry, I don't know if I can see the raised hand. I usually do. Am I doing something wrong if like the back of my eyes start kind of hurting? Like maybe focusing my eyes too much?
Is this the first time you've ever meditated?
No, it happens like it's happened before. I just was wondering if I could get that question answered.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that you're doing anything wrong. There might be some way in which you're feeling tension in your eyes, and there is some strain or something. My I mean, people have different things that happen to their body during meditation. Sometimes people just become more acutely aware of things that they maybe didn't notice throughout the day. And so it could be that throughout the day, you're actually straining your eyes. And then when we're kind of sitting in this kind of contemplative self-reflection, that becomes more pronounced. That could be. And then the other thing I would say is, like, we just like we can kind of breathe into the awareness of breathing into a certain body part tends to help relieve tension. So if it was in your shoulder, I would say, can you breathe into your shoulder and see if you can soften the tension around it? I think the same thing can be true with kind of breathing into, the back of your eyes and seeing if there's a softening, a tension release. So it sounds like you're aware of it. And then it's not about getting rid of it, though. It's about kind of, can we actually just kind of soften to see if it changes?
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, that's my thought. Great. Anyone else? Okay, not seeing anything. We'll open up again in a little bit. I wanted to kind of focus on, there was some, last few weeks, I've been talking about basically ethical integrity. The Buddhist teachings are broken down into a few main topics, or a few main they're called baskets, actually. And one is sila. Sila is ethical integrity or precepts, a way to live that is non-harming and that is reducing suffering for ourselves and for the world. And then the second basket is known as samadhi, or I used a word last week called bhavana. And the word bhavana basically means meditation or meditative techniques. And so I thought I would kind of break that down a little bit more today. And what does that mean in the Buddhist kind of teaching? What does it mean to have bhavana? Or, what are the different techniques? And there's tons. There's so many different techniques that we have. And, we tend to focus in the area of the 4 foundations of mindfulness here, meaning body-centered practices, meaning death awareness practice, and some of the specifics to the first foundation of mindfulness. Second foundation of mindfulness is really looking at what's called the Vedana, or feeling tone. It's a subtle kind of energetic knowing that can take place when we are able to calm or collect the mind. The third foundation of mindfulness is the mind itself. So kind of the ability to turn a collected, concentrated attention back towards the mind, which then allows us to really recognize and maybe change our relationship to the mind. Instead of the mind being in control or just doing whatever it wants, we actually have some agency, which, without training, we don't have. Very often we're like a dog following its nose. Every little desire that the dog smells, it's just kind of taken by it. If you've ever seen a dog with a keen sense of smell, and they'll just kind of stop, and whatever they're doing, they're just kind of following their nose. And in some ways we're like that with our mind. It's like we're just kind of following whatever the mind is thinking, or whatever the mind wants to do, without, or whatever the instincts want to do, without any real kind of ability to shape how we respond to what the mind wants. And then, so the third basket is what we call, let me just back up. The fourth foundation of mindfulness is really the understanding or the wisdom gained by practice. It's Sometimes they call it the Dharma or the Dhamma, which means truth in nature. So the idea is that these practices, the ethical integrity, and then the meditative practices are leading us to insight, deeper, greater insight into our mind and our world and our relationship to both. So, that being said, the third basket of the three baskets found within the Buddhist teachings is known as Panya. And Panya and the fourth foundation of mindfulness are similar in that way, that Panya means wisdom. And so the wisdom that is gained or uncovered through the practice of the first two, sila, ethical integrity, and bhavana practice. So I guess so I'll just we'll just dive a little bit more into that. So bhavana can mean practice of meditation. It literally means development. So the idea of kind of thinking about it as development of skillful qualities in the mind or skillful qualities of the mind. So bhavana is a type of karma. If we really think about what is karma is very often it's not just what's playing out in the world as a result of whatever past actions, but karma is actually what is happening within our minds. I've been talking about this the last few weeks when I talked about healing the wounds of the mind, which is often about kind of greed, hatred, and delusion in some way showing up in our minds, in our lives, in our practice, and then how do we kind of work with that? So bhavana is a type of karma. It's this kind of intentional activity, ultimately leading to the end of karma. So cultivating meditation or a meditative state of mind is really a way of cultivating what some people would say positive karma, or a karmic momentum that is changing our relationship to the mind itself and to the content of the mind. Some people think of it as the work at hand. Yeah. So one of the Thai kind of idioms is to make an effort. So this is like what they talk about when they talk about what is bhavana, what is meditative practice, to make an effort, right? These terms are kind of worth keeping in mind. This idea of kind of the work at hand or to make an effort, because that is what this practice is really asking us to do. It's not this passive, just kind of sitting and watching the breath, but actually engaging with what's going on. And it takes some time to be able, I feel like so much of what happens in our practice is really preparation. So what the kind of how do we live ethically in our life is preparation for allowing the mind to be able to settle. It's like setting a foundation by, not being a jackass in the world and trying to, like not intentionally killing things and people, and not, not intentionally kind of lying or stealing or, causing harm with sexuality or, using drugs and alcohol or intoxicating the mind to such a degree, kind of numbing out. It's the kind of opposite of these things. So instead it's kind of more engagement, right? So yeah, one of the ways that this kind of proactive approach is talked about in the Pali text is like that meditation is, let me just kind of look at it this way. In the Satipatthana Sutta, which is the four foundations of mindfulness, it's a pretty good description of what's kind of expected, or what can be focused on. And so it says, this is basically the Buddhist teachings. This is the only way, monks, for the purification of beings, for the overcoming of sorrow and lamentation, for the destruction of pain and grief, for the reaching of the right path, for the attainment of nibbana, namely the four foundations of mindfulness. So in this, what I think that is being said here is that the satipatthana, or the four foundations of mindfulness, are the unpacking and the training that is necessary for what he's describing is, the overcoming of sorrow, of kind of, grief, of rumination, or constantly holding on to past experiences that are still painful, the destruction of pain and grief, and to the attainment of nibbana. Nibbana means awakening or freedom from suffering. Freedom from suffering. It also means just the extinguishing of the flame. And the word nibbana was a very commonly used phrase in ancient India. It was like to nibbana the flame would mean like to turn off the stove, or to put the fire out. And basically, that's what the teachings of the Buddha are aimed at, is to extinguish the flame of craving, extinguish the flame of suffering. That the fuel for suffering is an untrained mind, and the kind of aspects of greed, hatred, and delusion that come up as a result of mind being untrained. And like I've talked about in the last few weeks, and I probably always will talk about, is it doesn't take long, when you're learning to meditate, to see, what kind of suffering can arise in the mind. Usually it's in the form of memories, or it's in the form of some of the aspects of the hindrances, which the hindrances are basically things that block us from finding this freedom from suffering. And that looks like sleepiness, or restlessness and agitation, or worry, or fantasy. The mind kind of wanders off into different scenarios, fantasies, anything other than being here now. So there's that. And if, as I'm talking, if you have questions online, or even, those of you in the room, just raise your hand, and, we can kind of focus on them. I can answer them as we go, or at the end, either way. So a meditator remains focused on the body. Oh, this is teaching from the Buddha. It's actually the instructions around how to kind of work with bhavana. The meditator remains focused on the body in and of itself, ardent, alert, and mindful, putting aside greed and distress with reference to the world. So I want to kind of break some of that stuff down. So ardent, alert, remains focused. These are some clear instructions. Remaining focused can also be translated to kind of keeping track, or like the things I said before, kind of worthy of attention, or the work to be done, the issue at hand. Now this refers to kind of the element of concentration in the practice, right? As you hold to one particular theme or frame of reference amid the kind of conflicting currents, the conflicting currents of experience. So, like staying on the breath, or staying aware, aware, connected to the body, while, amidst all of the things that are kind of also happening in the mind. So that would be kind of remaining focused, basically concentration. And another aspect of concentration is actually utilizing the phrases. Or I even gave you tonight, I gave you calm, relaxed, like breathing in, calm the mind, breathing out, relax the body. And just repeating that phrase. And I start with a larger phrase and then move down slowly to just calm, relax, calm, relax. That is a concentrative practice. That's a technique that you could use. And it could really be any words, any kind of simple, you don't want to get into, so sometimes people like they're chanting different mantras or whatever, like the, Om Mani Padme Hum, or, I don't know, some of the other kind of Zen chants, or Namiho Renge Kyo. These are different kind of, they're concentrated, focused attention. I feel like with using English words and with using words that are directly pointing to our experience, we're actually able to get deeper into the mindfulness aspect. So the next word that sticks out to me in that statement is ardent. So what is ardent? Ardent refers to the effort that you put into the practice, right? So trying to abandon unskillful states of mind and developing skillful ones, in their stead or in their place, right? All the while to, kind of see the difference between the two. So seeing the difference between kind of, okay, what are the unskillful states of mind and what are the skillful states of mind? So once we're able to concentrate, collect, calm the attention, then what begins to happen is we start to see, oh, wow, this is fantasy. Oh, this is sleepiness. Oh, this is agitation. Oh, when I travel down this kind of thought pattern, it leads to agitation in my body. And so when I begin to recognize that, then that's gaining insight and beginning to see, okay, I don't want to go down this thought pattern anymore, this thought path. And then we can kind of pull back. Alert. So what does alert mean? Alert means being clearly aware of what's happening in the present moment. Mindful means, being able to remember or recollect. So this is one of the translations of the word mindful or mindfulness, or in Pali, which is the language of the Buddha, is the word of sati. And sati literally means to remember or to recollect. So mindfulness isn't just about what's happening in our kind of moment to moment experience, but it's actually when the attention wanders off, and that moment of recollection or remembering, oh yeah, back to the breath, here, now, that is actually mindfulness. And then remaining focused on the here and now, or on the breath, is a mix of mindfulness and concentration. And I don't know if this is even helpful, but it was helpful for me to kind of see, okay, this is how we're utilizing this practice. So it's a concentrated awareness, right? And the ardency of kind of staying, in the here and now and using effort, and then, bringing in mindfulness as a way to kind of then open up to be more able to kind of receive, the wisdom, the uncovering of the wisdom of what's happening here and now. Mindfulness gets used a lot to mean like paying attention, right? And I think that's it can be useful. But the thing I find the most useful is to see it as that moment where you're not mindful, where your attention has wandered off, and then you recognize, whether I give an instruction or you just recognize through your own practice, oh, my attention has wandered off. And then the placing of it back, that is the sharpening of mindfulness. And that's usually the place where most people have tons of judgment, right? Where I hear people talking all the time about how they're just totally judging themselves for being lost in thought, or lost in future, or lost in past. That's just the mind doing whatever the fuck it's doing. You know what I mean? And that's part of the recognition, is to go, oh yeah, this is just the mind doing its thing. And that's where I often am talking about the kindness or the compassion to, aim the attention back to the here and now. So in kind of a non-reactive way. Right? So sometimes mindfulness is translated to this kind of non-reactive awareness. Yeah. So free from agendas, kind of simply present with whatever arises. And so, and even if that is recognizing that the attention has wandered off, and then returning back to the breath or the, the meditation, the body, whatever the meditation object is, um, in a non-reactive way. Okay. So, this teaching is, it's designed to help practitioners, to help meditators kind of lessen suffering and gain clarity of mind while developing generosity, non-clinging to greed, and living, kind of day to day in a way that is non-harming to self or others. So this is where the kind of sila, or the ethical integrity, and bhavana, the meditative practice, kind of come together. So the idea is, like, if we can set a foundation of walking in the world, creating the least amount of harm possible, then when we sit down to meditate, it's going to be hopefully easier to settle the mind and then begin to kind of see some of the benefits of sustained meditation practice.